Hello there.
You are entering another plane. A plane where we leave behind the logistical issues, the canon continuity, and the Easter eggs. Only here are thematic ideas and symbolic imagery. You are entering a theme between themes. What's in here? Only what you take with you. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli. This is the last episode of a theme between themes that we're doing for the summer. I was trying to get 4 lined up, but we only managed to get these 3 along with the 2 we did with Jared and Brooke, which is totally great, and I'm so grateful to not only to both of them as well as the people I have here today to do this episode for jumping in on this series. This is like I have a soft spot for a theme between theme stuff because it's the stuff I really love doing, diving into stuff not just based on chronology, which we usually do here in the Galaxy, but by those threads, by those through lines. And today we have a topic that was brought to me. I think this episode is going to be a bit more the last episode I did with Jared than the theme to do with themes, where the other episodes I asked people, okay, like, give me a theme and like a few episodes or whatever it is of Star Wars to connect to it. But this is a bit more focused. This is a bit more specific clips that pertain to this specific theme and like trying to get all we can out of it. But it takes a very interesting journey throughout the Star Wars universe and throughout time since 1999 and the invention by one George Walton Lucas Jr. of a certain micro-organism called the Midichlorian. Yes, this is going to be an episode about midichlorians. So I will be frank with you, midichlorians were an idea that originally, I know a lot of people hated it. I never hated it. I was very neutral about midichlorians at first, but one of these people made a fantastic video essay that absolutely swung me on midichlorians. And I'm really excited to talk about them with both these people. So introducing both these people, first time guests on In a Galaxy, which is, we've said this several times while promoting this and to each other, is like the biggest shame I've had of this show in the last year or so. The fact that we have not had these guys on sooner, but we finally did it. They're the hosts of the Bombadcast. Both of them have competed on Epic Confrontations. Dear friends of mine, we have Scotty, Jayro, and Gerry, the Canon Junkie.
Whoa! Look at both of us. Gerry, we're on In a Galaxy together.
Oh my. Wow.
Look
at this.
I remember, I'm trying to think, it was Ahsoka the first time that Jake and I both were on. I know I was on.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, so that wasn't that long ago, but because time is weird these days, it feels like forever ago.
It does.
Very odd.
Mostly because we went through, I think that show went so fast, I feel like, for me, because we had no discourse. The strikes were going on, and most of the people who would be producing the discourse weren't talking about it.
Exactly.
And now we've had 3 shows worth of discourse with one show somehow.
Yeah, I've had enough discourse probably for one's lifetime.
Yeah.
After the Acolyte, I gotta agree.
We have discourse too, Eli. The subject today was a lot of discourse back when it started in '99. Now has been thoroughly fleshed out. So,
absolutely.
And you mentioned, Eli, that it never bothered you, and Scotty, I know you were like, it was imprinted upon your DNA.
Yeah.
It was my generation that like came out and were like, oh, this is bullshit. Things like they are repeating the things that they heard the Gen Xers.
I will fully admit that while searching, I have a midichlorian background for my thing. While searching for this background about 30 minutes ago, this was the first search result under Google Images. The second Google search result was a meme that was a meme in the style of a 2011 meme.
Yeah.
Black box that said midichlorians, the answer you didn't want to the question you were never asked.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
so stupid.
Calm down here.
Yeah.
I'm
my
like,
uncle posted that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much one of those Facebook memes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we get it. But before we dive into this stuff about midichlorians, which I absolutely do, I do want to ask about both your experiences getting into this lovely galaxy of Star Wars, like we do for all first-time guests. Gerry, how did you get into?
So, I got into this galaxy far away because my cousin Joey, who I've talked about many times on our show and stuff, was a big fan and would play the movies around and stuff. And I remember seeing a little bit of Empire Strikes Back with Luke and Vader on the bridge on Cloud City, that faithful part. I remember seeing that and thinking it was really cool. Before that, I don't know the timeline of all these things, but at one point I was at my grandmother's house. They were watching Empire, and Yoda terrified me for some reason. Just the whole atmosphere of Dagobah.
It's weird.
Scared me as a child, so I was hiding behind a chair. I was a strange child. Then I watched Ghostbusters every Saturday mornings. You know, it is what it is. I was a weird child. But no, then hey, along come the special editions. And before that, my parents bought me the original movies, so I would watch them over and over. And I went to the special editions in theaters, saw each one of them in theater. And that's the thing that, like, a lot of people still these days still have problems with the special editions. And my co-host is one of them. I'm joking. Not really. But I have a special place for the special edition in my heart, because that's what truly, I think, finally flipped my switch broke the switch off, flipped it on, broke it off, and chucked it into a volcano so that no one could ever fix it again. Because ever since then, I've loved Star Wars. I've loved everything about it. I've been so pumped for everything that's come out. So
I've heard a lot of these. This is one of the things where a lot of guests, no offense to our guests, absolutely, I don't know these stories, but I've watched so much of YouTube that it feels like I could tell you this story, but I'm just gonna say, Scotty, I know that that's how Star Wars works it's not generations, it's like micro generations now. It's not there is your parents watch Star Wars, and your kids will, all that kind of stuff. But it's also, okay, what are people 3 years older than me
exactly
experience of Star Wars? And then out. So I know you were like only a bit younger than Gerry, but I understand you got a lot of that prequel type, right?
So yeah, for me personally, because Gerry was born in 87 or 87. So
it was 87. No, you're right, sweetheart.
Gerry would have been. I was born in 95, so I was like that perfect leadway into what we would get with the prequels. And then I always talk. We've talked about before ad nauseum, is like the marketing of the prequels and everything that came out with the food, and then the game crossovers, and all of it was just this huge thing. And I remember being a kid and like seeing the standees at Taco Bell, but also going into Albertsons and seeing like the cardboard cutout Droideka at Albertsons, and then going to school, and all my friends had Phantom Menace binders and folders, and then coming home and having Pod Racer on N64. And it was just like, because in 77, say what you want, but it was just in the theaters. In 78 when the figures came out, and then it became a big thing. But like in 99, it was like, and it hasn't been ever since. It was everything. Very lucky to have seen the theaters then. And then, speaking of, I love the episode 1, and of course the topic we're discussing today. I went and saw the Phantom Menace again when it came back to theaters 9 times. So like it was just like, it was that movie, and the things that happen in that movie, and the themes of this discussion we're going to have are all because of episode 1. And most people for some reason have now grown to fall in love with it, but for a while, especially when I was in high school, like that was the one you didn't even. I remember the Machete Order. They're like, don't even watch that one.
I had the nicest. I knew the nicest guy who was like a youth minister. We were like the same age and everything, like the friendliest, just like big bearded guy and everything. Just, hi, how you doing? How you doing? Everything. I love Star Wars. He was real nerdy and stuff. And he goes, I like the Machete Order. I was like,
dear Lord,
how can you just like chop off a limb of someone's?
I will say that I remember when I personally originally watched the Star Wars, but at that time, all six of the originals were out. I remember at the beginning, Phantom Menace was my favorite. And even now, I will say it is still my favorite of the prequels. Not even really particularly close. But yeah, I forgot about this. We have one more thing to cover before we get into this, which is, of course, the Bombadcast. I have heard the story before, but for our listeners who haven't, please explain how the Bombadcast came to be.
Gerry and I had knew each other like tangentially, like we had
I'd heard Scotty on Resistance broadcast a few times. They had played some of your videos,
and I remember interacting on Twitter with you, and we decided to meet up at Celebration in 2019. They had a TRB meetup, and we met up there, and we really hit it off. For those that don't know who we are, we formed our show back in June of 2019, and we recently just had our 5-year anniversary, and that's on our YouTube channel as well. And Eli was there. He watched the whole thing. He was in the comments the entire time. And we had a 2-hour compilation video of our funniest moments. So it's a good sizzle reel if you never watched it. We're an absurdist podcast.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
YouTube experience, a live YouTube experience.
It is an experience. I will just say, it was hard for me before to figure out like how to introduce people to the Bombadcast.
Yeah.
But I honestly think the sizzle reel may be like the best way now.
Best way. Do you like fun and nonsense? Do you like hanging out with friends? Then you will love the Bombadcast, and also some nerdy shit mixed in as well.
Another thing too that people often don't realize, I hate when I'm like, yeah, I have a Star Wars podcast. I'm like,
I hate to say that too.
It's not much more, you know?
That's derogatory these days.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not that. It's not that anymore. It used to be very much a Star Wars podcast. But for example, as of this time of recording, our most recent discussion is about eggs and watching a video about eggs.
And I cook eggs. About how to cook eggs. Yes. How to not say hard boiled, but how to say hard cooked.
Hard cooked
as well.
But I know Eli's been there since December of 2021. Eli?
Yeah. Yes. That's right. When Jared, I actually, it always laughs. I always laugh when I pull up that DM from Jared that I got a few months earlier, and he said he DM'd me the one thing that would that I didn't know would change my life, which is what he first DM'd me about writing questions for a trivia match and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing that changed my life was, here it is. So we were talking about the distribution of what questions would be, some from what, like some from movies, some from TV, all that kind of stuff. And he said, we may do a 3-rounder, but fucking go for it in terms of questions. And that is the single sentence that changed my life forever. And also, that was probably the first, it's been almost 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years of Pasquale now for me.
Wow.
3 years of
but look, even
that would have killed a lesser man, Eli, but you have survived.
That would have killed a lesser man.
Yes.
So one thing I will say too, I think it's important to address. We were the show that kicked off EC. It's in its now form. You know what I mean? Just like you being the host and your co-host at the time and of that stream, the person we had, a robot. But if we also have been a part of. We've been a part of your league as well for this entire time going through this, and I think I've only competed twice, but even then,
Gerry has a match coming up very soon. Gerry and Andy, the Sheaf Shills, right? Yeah, Sheaf Shills.
Oh yeah,
right. We are going to collectively kick all of the ass.
I would normally side with you. You remember that one of your opponents is Nikki Kumar, right?
Ooh.
Listen. I'll take out Nikki's lunch. I will take his escargot out of his French lunchbox, shove it down his French throat, and tell him they're called freedom fries. And then answer trivia questions correct.
I often think of teams, and I always go to the people oh, what do you think, and all that kind of stuff. And there was I think actually you and Andy came to me with the idea of you forming a team. I'm I'm not sure how this is gonna go. No regrets. Zero regrets.
Yeah.
We are a powerhouse together, Andy and I. They are an absolute powerhouse in and of themselves. And come over to our house. We'll kick your ass and take your name, and then you go home nameless with a little bit of bubble gum. I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
and we know what happened with the nameless.
Yes.
But let's get into what we have here with Midichlorians. This is going to be, I was telling Scotty before this recording, I was hoping this is going to be, so Scotty, I will absolutely link this down in the description of this episode, but Scotty did a video essay a few months ago, a 2-hour-long video essay about midichlorians and their thematic connections within the Star Wars universe. And it couldn't recommend it more. I remember everybody raving about it when it came out, rightly. I remember just watching it. I remember specifically being okay, I was trying to track everything because I had just taken what I was hoping to be my last science class I ever took in my life. I'm okay, I'm gonna keep track of all this science stuff. And then got into the themes. I'm okay, this stuff I can handle. And then I remember the part of the video that went past Phantom Menace. I'm oh, he's reading all of this.
Oh yeah, the whole saga. And for those that haven't seen it, it is literally everything as of now. Unfortunately, I will give a preface to it. If you go watch it, it's only dated by 2 things, and those 2 things are the Bad Batch and
The Acolyte.
So
Yes.
that's
Okay.
okay.
The Acolyte. I will say it's so tragic that the two things that came, like the two next things that came out after, were the two things that kind of. It's not. It didn't
Finally.
ruin everything. But
No,
like,
it expanded on it.
It
You know,
expanded
just-
everything.
It just acknowledged their existence. Is what it
Yes,
did.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's literally all they did.
Although-
No,
although-
this, video is a college level course.
It is. It's
So-
awesome.
It
in a
100%.
good way. In a good way. So
And
go.
by the
watch
way, I will just call out Lucasfilm. This is going to be largely praising of Star Wars storytelling's handling of midichlorians. I will just say one thing, Lucasfilm. Stop being fucking cowards. Say the damn words.
Yes.
Say the word midichlorian.
Midichlorian. You don't get a word with that many syllables very often.
It's spelled
You
like Voldemort. There's no reason you can't say this.
Uh-huh.
It's like they're afraid
involved
someone's
in
going to yell at their
10,000
server.
stupid-
Or something.
It's gonna be. You've been involved in 10,000 stupider controversies since then.
Yes.
I think we can say midichlorian now.
Yeah.
I
No, I
like
agree.
M-count fine, but like, come on, say
As soon as
midichlorian.
they say midichlorians, though, for the first time since Phantom Menace, I
Well, they
swear to
did.
God, they're gonna come. But if they say it one more time, it's like
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. Say it 3 times, they're gonna come out with the People versus George Lucas 2. You know, so
Oh no, yeah, I don't want to say. I haven't seen. I've only heard Jared summarize parts of
I've
It's
never seen
terrible.
it.
the first
Don't
one,
watch it.
and I'm like, yeah.
I don't know who
But
George
yeah,
Lucas is.
for today we watched 3 snippets from the Phantom Menace, the Clone Wars episode Destiny, which we covered on this very show. Those last 2, and
Great episode.
I'm always very excited to do stuff for Theme Between Themes we haven't done. We did a little snippet of chapter 19 of The Mandalorian, The Convert, which is the second Mandalorian episode to be done on this show after we did The Sin for an earlier episode of Theme Between Themes. So I'm very excited to get all of that. But here's how I want to start, which is I'll go to both of you for this, which is what drew you in, like, why midichlorians? Why are you both so interested in the midichlorians and what they represent?
Personally, when looking at science as a whole, or even interspecies relationships, you got to realize that in order for everything to get along in the universe, there has to be some sense of harmony or some sense of, I guess, positive interaction. If the cells in your body are not aligned with the other cells in your body, that could cause several things in the line, and you can see cancer being one of those examples. I know it's an unfortunate thing to talk about, but that's whenever there's a miscommunication and too much white blood cell. Like it's all about symbiosis and how things are interlocked together and working together at all times. You look at even at ecology, and that's something I really studied in college is ecology. If that one little balance is off, if there's more fish than there are frogs, then it's bad. You know what I mean? Everything is naturally supposed to be the way it is. And everyone seems to think the midichlorians, for some example, are this idea of like it's science and it ruins Star Wars and it's making the Force not mythical. But when we look at these clips and these episodes, you begin to understand how much more mythical it is because of it. That it's the one thing that I think most people get caught up on is like Anakin has 20,000 midichlorians. You know, it's like they see it as power rankings or like a power bar in a video game.
George was never interested in.
No, he was just interested in saying that this person is incredibly powerful in the Force through biological reasons. And in the clip that we watched, it comes down to the fact that because Anakin was born of the Force. But that's, I guess, my love of it comes from being a kid who likes science, who did not do well in science classes, but now they're taught science for 5 years. Like, there's a lot that plays into it for me personally. I don't know about Gerry. I've actually never heard Jerry's answer on this.
The thing with midichlorians for me is I always felt growing up, like watching it, like after I never started hearing people's problems with it until like I got out of high school, and which was the year Revenge of the Sith came out. Yeah. And so like then I'm starting to hear all these. I started working at the movie theater. I started hearing people's complaints, and they were saying it just takes I remember people being like, it takes the magic out of it. To which I never I was like, I felt like the only person who understood midichlorians back then, at least what I think George was trying to go for, which again is not, again, because they're saying it makes it down to science. It's down to however many of these cells you have in your bloodstream, and I don't think that was ever what George was trying to say. And also, just there was this whole people. I grew up very religious, so they're wanting to separate science. Like usually, people are trying to separate science from their religion and stuff like that. Which I mean, kids, but at the time, the way I felt was that though these things should coexist, because one is just the processes and one is your personal beliefs and stuff, the process of how things happen. And so to me, midichlorians were never like, here's the answer. The Force is just all these little things. There's no magic. It's, but these are also like little like microorganisms that help you attune to the Force. And things like that. It's very mythical and magical. And it's just that to me, it was never the power comes from the midichlorians, which is what I feel like everyone thought. Everyone, at least in my circles that I was around, thought, oh, that the midichlorians is where the power comes from, and we know that no, the power comes from the Force. It doesn't. Come from
it's just it's a way it channels it, right? It's all about it's all about channeling that
just
ability.
Channeling, and even with what they've done, I don't think that it negates midichlorians the way they've done. How you can learn to use the Force just like someone can learn to do yoga and things like that. You get like these or a type of martial arts and things like that. If you focus enough and put enough of your determination and focus and will into it, you can achieve it. And that is, I think, a very good. I don't think that negates any of what George has done. I think that builds upon it, and I think that he would love that.
I completely agree. There's a quote actually I brought up in one of my notes for watching the first section of the Phantom Menace. I will leave all the timestamps that we watched in the description, but I was thinking of a quote from the first Thor movie, which I remember just having a big impact on me when I was watching it, because all the MCU at that point had been like the sciencey stuff of the Iron Mans and Hulks and stuff like that. This was Marvel's first foray in the MCU into magic, and it was a conversation between Thor and Jane. And Thor says, your ancestors called it magic, but you call it science. I come from a land where they're one and the same. And that is my approach to midichlorians, which is like the complaint that they're trying to explain the Force scientifically. Okay, if that's what you want to take away from it, I guess you can. But like, it's such a that is a complaint to me that has the same energy as why would we do a prequel story because we know how it's going to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
There's
that's obvious, but there's other things. And like that kind of and which was I have found out the Thor thing was based off an Arthur C. Clarke quote, which was
I didn't know that.
Which was like magic, and I want to see
the reason I like that, Eli,
any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Clarke.
Oh yeah, okay, I've heard that one. Yeah, I like that one. And 2001 is my favorite movie, and 2001 also gets into a lot of weird sciencey crossover to mythology, crossing to the mystery realm, where it's the same exact idea as the Phantom Menace. Like it's this idea that it's all part of the same thing. What you call God is what other people would call yourselves. It's a miracle that all this even happens in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I think is so important to take away from the ultimate theme of midichlorians is that the fact that it exists and that you're here talking about it exists is simply a miracle within itself. And that is
absolutely. And the if we want to jump into the Phantom Menace, we have that conversation between Qui-Gon and Shmi.
Great conversation.
And which is fantastic. And it's been a little while since I've watched Phantom Menace. I always forget how great Liam Neeson is. Liam Neeson just kills it every time.
It's probably the most somber of the whole movie, besides Qui-Gon's death and Shmi's goodbye to Anakin. But that part is like super reflective, and I don't know. He's looking off in the distance, and he sees this boy. It's so cool.
And now, because of what's come out recently, it's gained a lot of context for me because Qui-Gon's like, oh, I found this kid who's usually strong with the Force. Oh, soul. Oh no, I don't want to the last guy who did this lost his way, fell to the dark side, murdered a bunch of Jedi, as far as he knows.
Yeah.
I should be careful about this.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because when he does approach the council, he's very straightforward about it. I found a virgins. And the funny thing is Qui-Gon didn't make the same mistake as Soul. He really did find a virgins that was not,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get more to that later.
Soul found the virgins. He just didn't handle it very well.
Yes.
Soul found both of them found the virgins. It's just about how they handled it. But yeah, there are all these like very suggestive lines in this scene. Like this is that the Force is unusually strong with him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean unusually strong? That's not a phrase the Jedi would normally use.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You would just
Especially
say the
talking
Force
to
is
someone-
very strong or just strong or something like that. Unusually strong?
Talking to someone he just met too, like within a
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Is his
it's-
lover, his nighttime lover. Yeah.
Yes, that too, Shmigon. But there's the infamous line that many hate, but I think it's fine. There was no father. I carried him. I gave birth. I raised him.
What's to
I
not
can't
let-
explain what happened.
Yeah.
Which is
I don't understand why people don't like that
I
line.
love that line.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, especially because like there is very much a Lucas idea. We think we know how like nature and the cosmos works,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
but what if we don't? What if we don't know how it works?
Yeah. That's what that's the whole theme of midichlorians is that expect the unexpected, in the sense of you'll never know when these things really manifest, and
Yeah.
how they actually work is always going to be a mystery, because the guy who made them wanted them to be ambiguous, and it was a great storytelling device. And if we're going to look at it from a mythological point of view, which I know I talk about in my essay, but one thing I didn't get into is the Christ idea of it, of the Godhead of it, which is a common theme in mythology. But the idea that someone is born of immaculate conception, or someone is born without one parent, that is a really cool idea, mythologically speaking. But another movie that does that well is Jurassic Park. They're all female, okay, and then life finds a way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is this idea that no matter how smart you are and how much you think you understand the Force, Qui-Gon's the only one I really like, especially in the Phantom Menace. It's like, I don't know, this is unusual, this is weird, this shouldn't be happening, but here we are. What caused this? Where did this come from?
And going to the conversation that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon have after the blood test,
Mm-hmm.
we have that other infamous line: "The reading is off the chart. Over 20,000. Even Master Yoda doesn't have a midichlorian count that high." And I think this is actually one of the things where people like get led astray.
Yeah.
With this stuff, which is, I think people are like, "Oh, Anakin has over 20,000 midichlorians. That makes him the most powerful Jedi." No, it doesn't. It gives him the most potential
Like Dragon Ball Z.
to connect with the Force.
Yeah.
It's the Rise of Kylo Ren issue with that flashback where Luke is teaching the kids, and where he says like the Force is like a door. How much you like wield it depends on how much you're open to it.
There you go.
Someone is not inherently more powerful than somebody else. It's just how open they are to the Force.
Look, and another way you could really cite that and look at it too is the idea that like that's to anything. The more someone's open to learning a new language or something in mathematics, and I'm sure there are things like learning disabilities beside, there are things that do stop you from doing those things, yes, but it's ultimately not wrong. If you are open to these possibilities of learning and experiencing things, then more than you're going to receive it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And and I think automatically, this is not really the theme of this episode, but I did want to point it out. Which is automatically, I will say, the way that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan talked about the midichlorian count on this kid already was like setting the stages for some of the reasons, in my opinion, that Anakin fell. Because the Jedi, there's that speech that Anakin gives to Padme at the beginning of Clones when she's packing. And she has far more important things to do, but no, he's an angsty teen and he needs to get this out of his system. Where he's talking about the Jedi are jealous of my power and they fear me in a real way. And the thing is, I don't think he's actually that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do fear his level of power, and like the ethos around the Chosen One when, look, I'm not saying that the born of no father thing, over 20,000 midichlorians, shouldn't have rung any alarm bells. I'm just saying maybe don't constantly look at this kid like he's some sort of artifact.
Yeah. And I think he was constantly told this stuff too. I think that unsolicited and unsolicited, like I think a lot of the teachers and especially the leaders were bringing this up to him.
Yeah.
This big weight of everything, which we know is what brings Kylo down. Ben goes down because he's got this huge weight of the people who raised him. But like you got Anakin with like little to no family, no connection, but like you are supposed to be the one who saves everyone.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be this. And just the jealousy that would create with other people and just the unrealistic expectations in himself that would bring on him. It's too much for a kid.
He's 19. No, he's he's 19. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean?
In clones, yeah. It's a lot to bear for him. And yeah, it gets to that. Going to the third segment, which is Qui-Gon and Anakin talking on the landing pad on Coruscant. We have something you mentioned already, Scotty, but I wanted to bring back up. We have Qui-Gon's explanation. Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells. They live inside me, inside your cells, yes, and we are symbionts with them. This is that idea, and we see this a lot in Phantom Menace and other stuff, of symbiosis. George has been, and I didn't realize, I think that was one of the things that your video essay helped me realize. I didn't think I realized how obsessed George has been with symbiosis.
Yeah.
He's been so obsessed with symbiosis, it's ridiculous.
Forever. Not just in the Phantom Menace. And obviously it's the main theme of the Phantom Menace is symbiosis. The Gungans and the Naboo. You've got midichlorians, you've got the Jedi and the Sith. One not being aware of the other for so long. It really is. And I brought it up again. I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but the idea of the cancer, like you don't know it's there until it's there. And that's the whole point of the Phantom is that these Sith have been around for 1,000 years and they were not aware of it because they were just ignorant to it. But that's what happened.
I was going to say they were not aware, as we know now, they were not aware of it.
Yeah. They're aware of something, but Vernestra was. But like when you look at all of this too, and you take a step back, you're right. The symbiosis is not just in the prequels; it's in the original trilogy. This idea of there being like an empire and a rebellion. There's a feud, but if they don't get along, there won't be anything that happens after that. Then, of course, a symbiosis is thrown off again. We've got something like the sequels with Palpatine still trying to force life into everything and makes Rey, who is an object of the light. Like it's so important to look at symbiosis more than just the context of this movie. It is the whole saga.
I was trying to find it. I remember Alex David mentioned it in the video he created for, weirdly enough, a show that doesn't deal with midichlorians a lot. The Book of Boba Fett, where he was talking about, I think symbiosis is actually a big theme in that show as well.
Yeah.
Where the line that everybody all the dude bros seemed to miss because they were Fennec in that scene apparently, which is her telling Boba, the Tuskens made you weak. No, they made me strong. You can't get anywhere without a tribe. You cannot get, you can't, and I remember he was saying in one of those videos, he was quoting from some archive book or something like that, where George was like, look, I study anthropology, and I know that it's just a historical fact. If you look at various societies, the ones who have gotten further are the ones who have worked together to achieve their common goals. That's just true.
Yeah.
And there we have, like, on that meta level, the symbiosis.
Yeah.
Yet again.
I agree.
Actually, I'm going to throw it over to you, Scotty, actually. Do you have, because it's been a while since I've seen the video essay. Do you have anything else to add about the symbiosis part of it?
In terms of the Phantom Menace, there's a few things you can really reflect on. And obviously, when it comes down to what's important, how does this affect the rest of the saga, the other things we're going to watch in detail today, this idea was ultimately established in that movie. It's like the chapter 1 of this midichlorian research that I've done and that we're conducting here right now. It sets the standard for everything. Everything that follows this, though, elaborates on that same idea of symbiosis. And my favorite one, when we talk about destiny in a few minutes, that's the one I'm genuinely obsessed with. That's the episode that I can almost recite parts of the script because it means that much to me. Because it does go into a lot of the. It's not just this. It's this. It's not just that.
Destiny, I will just say, is one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars television. Period of all time.
That's the thing. If someone were to ask me what episode would you make a movie, a live action movie, and I know it'd probably be the hardest one to do. It'd be an Avatar level CGI experience, but that would be, to me, that would be
it'd take 20 years to make.
Yeah,
the Yoda trilogy of episodes. I would go to see that in the theater so many freaking times. Like they could adapt it word for word, and I'd go to see it.
Well, that's the thing too. What I want to say is and unfortunately, if you really look at it in the context of everything, aside from Solo, that arc was the last George Lucas arc, because everything else that followed was season 7. And I know it was adapted for George and Dave worked together, but like that, the last episode is seriously the most George Lucas thing ever. It really just is. It's his favorite character, Yoda, going on this journey that has nothing to do with. It has everything to do with the Force. It's all just let's explore the Force, dark, light, and the science behind it.
This would have been what his live action, what his trilogy, like his microbiotic trilogy, everyone did not understand what he was talking about.
No, absolutely. And there is this, I will just say before we go into Destiny, and I do want to go into Destiny, I did just catch one more thing from Phantom Menace, and I'll circle back to both of you if you have anything else from Phantom Menace, which is the Qui-Gon quote, which is, "Without the midichlorians, life would not exist, and we would have no knowledge of the Force." So this is going to be my official on-air subtweet of a character that I cannot stand, that so many people think is such a genius, and think this thing that they appeared in is so great. And let me tell you, Treya, your plan to destroy the Force would literally have destroyed everybody in the galaxy.
Yeah.
That's literally what it would have done.
Yeah.
You were planning to kill everybody.
Yep.
That is not morally gray or edgy. That is just killing everybody. I don't care how much everybody thinks your goddamn musings about how everything has a bad consequence in the end. I don't care. Get that out of here. You're planning on killing everybody.
Yeah. Everyone has that goth phase they go through a little bit.
Treya is old enough. Treya is truly, I will say, like the edgiest of the edgy. She was like, she did the whole, light side ain't working for me and doing dark side. Cool. And then she realized the dark side sucks. And so then you're supposed to go back.
Yeah.
But she said, the light side sucks. The dark side sucks.
Let's kill everybody.
This all sucks.
So the problem must be the Force.
Yeah.
She is a Star Wars character who hates being in Star Wars. Get that out of here.
It's literally the one friend who's like ready to go home when you're playing like D&D or something, and is just like trying to fuck everything up.
It is. I know that if Jared listens to this
episode,
he will have so many thoughts. He's going to be screaming at me so many thoughts about this, but I don't care because God, I hate that character.
Speaking of edgelords,
exactly.
What a midlife crisis.
Yeah. And anything else either of you guys have for the Phantom Menace, or should we get on to Destiny?
I say let's just truck on into Destiny.
Let's go on. This is the part of the. I'm looking forward to this part. This is the part of the board.
We're both salivating dogs right here, just ready to grab this yummy piece of.
Because I have my essay, the words of the essay pulled up for this section. Because this was the part that I was the most excited about in my video essay within itself. That and Plagueis, but that's neither here nor there.
I forgot, especially I will say that a lot of our stuff with Destiny is dealing with the first half of this episode, which is a lot of the explanation. The second half of this episode, spoilers, is the part that I like more because of the Force themes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But once Yoda goes to that island, we basically lose everything we're talking about. So we're going to just talk about I get the things you guys are going to want to talk about are probably going to be stuff with the priestesses and their explanation of everything.
Yeah.
It's one of the big things. The big headline we get from this episode is the wellspring of life is where midichlorians come from.
Yeah. I have the direct quote. You want me to pull the direct quote?
Absolutely.
The Dracos this is the birthplace of what your science calls midichlorians. I love that line. I love that.
Yeah.
I love your science. It's so like diminishing. Like it's not important what it is. It's your science. I love that. The birthplace of what your science called midichlorians, the foundation of what connects the living force and the cosmic force. When a living thing dies, all is renewed. Life passes from the living force into the cosmic force. It becomes one with it. One powers the other. One is renewed by the other.
Which, by the way, is symbiosis again.
That is like that to me on like a fundamental level. If I were to condense how I feel life on this earth exists, or if I were to die, I would want it to be seen in that way. Like I do, my spirit, my essence returns to the cosmic force, and then it will be renewed. It will come out anew, and then find some way back. And it is essentially the Buddhist concept of like reincarnation, but without your individuality becomes nothing. You become part of everything. You're not just a individual soul floating through space, going into heaven, whatever. Right. You assimilate into the grander scheme of the universe, and then you can refabricate yourself back into what you are as a force ghost. That
I was gonna say, but like assimilation into the universe, it's funny that we're talking about that because that's the exact thing in this episode that Yoda is talking about how not to do. Yes. Ironically.
Yes.
And that was another thing that I started thinking about, which is like, of course, we are never going to know the step-by-step answer to this question. And nor should we.
No.
But if you were to explain how somebody became a force ghost, like metaphysically and stuff like that, I was starting to like wonder, I started developing like an idea of, okay, so you fade into the force. Everything of yours fades into the force, into the cosmic force, except one thing, of course, the midichlorians.
Yeah,
which are still part of the living force. And so for the individual identity to be retained, they have to have an exceptionally strong bond with those midichlorians. And I believe that this arc as a whole, but specifically this episode, is Yoda learning what that bond with midichlorians means. And a lot of that, of course, is if you're avoiding assimilation, you have to understand what's happening.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really well said.
Thanks. And it's so, if like even going into one of the visions he faces, the first one, which I remember I was watching this with somebody for the first time about a few months ago, and I remember they specifically got to the island. They were like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Dark Yoda is what's going on."
Yeah,
Dark Yoda, the most Dragon Ball shit I've ever seen, that somehow work in Star Wars. But of course, what do we hear is that's Yoda conquering his fear. That's Yoda conquering his negative emotions. That's Yoda going through those processes with that.
It's him admitting that is a part of him, which was a big thing.
Absolutely.
It's admitting and accepting. That's there, absolutely. But you don't give it power.
Yeah, but you don't give it power. And I was just so struck by a lot of that. How do I say it? Just the idea that of what the process to becoming a Force Ghost is. And obviously, specifically because we have those infamous exceptions where Yoda goes through the trials. We know Kenobi goes through the trials. I'd like to see that, but we know Kenobi goes through the trials. I assume it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think that like Yoda or Obi-Wan from Beyond the Grave would have taught Luke.
Yes.
That doesn't seem like too much of a stretch. And I wouldn't even say it would, but then we have the 2, maybe 3 examples, and I'll explain by maybe 3, and actually 4 if you include Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
We have Anakin, we have Leia, and we have question mark, though I like to think he became one with the Force. Ben.
Yeah, so my thing is the whole goal of teaching was that you have to accept that side of yourself. And I think in the moment of death, I'm pretty sure Luke had already accepted everything he went through. Vader clearly did. Vader had a turn. I accept that dark side. That is no longer who I am. And there was probably some sort of moment.
If you read Mike Chen's fantastic story in a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi, details the metaphysical aspect of Anakin's transformation in the Force Ghost in a conversation in the Force Afterlife.
Yeah.
with Obi-Wan, which is phenomenal. If you haven't read it, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it very much lines up with that. But I like that idea of like Anakin and Leia and Ben don't need that lesson. Like they already had that lesson in their life to understand what the assimilation means.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see.
I think that Yoda going through all of that made him a practitioner like those Force priestesses.
Yeah,
to pass that
I agree.
on as well.
Yeah.
Because he's it's funny because like in Revenge of the Sith, he doesn't go, and this one there, but he didn't go, show you a planet I will that is made of the Force with a bunch of weird jellyfish islands. And also we will go to where the Sith began. It was Korriban, but now it is Moraban. But no, he just tells him, I'll teach you how to commune with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And stuff. And just like it's become something a little more spiritual.
It is
less physical, way more
spiritual. To me, it's very Native American in the sense of it's never about the inward experience, it's all about the outward experience. Like it's what you take, it's what you go and explore on your own is ultimately what you learn the most from. And of course, reflection's really important. Acknowledging your dark side's really important, but to go out into nature and understand your place in this bigger meaning is super important too. If you look at Kenobi for an example, I know that's not part of the conversation, but Kenobi, for 10 years, he sits there and suffers. Oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. I'm not going to do anything about it. Then the second something comes up, he's like, not for me. And then he realizes how much more important it is. And he accepts the trial. And all of that leads him to forgiving Anakin, ultimately. Really, that's the whole thing that does. And seeing that Anakin's truly gone and Vader has taken over. And
yeah, I mean, and even maybe way much less of forgiving Vader, but forgiving himself.
Yes.
Because I think that's why he spent those 10 years, is he was so mad at himself for his failures. And he realized, oh, he's made a choice and he's gone. The guy I loved is gone.
Yep.
So,
and he even tells Luke that Return of the Jedi. You just gotta kill him, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a good man who, as your father, was destroyed.
Yeah.
And these, I will say, these priestesses are just fascinating to me. First of all, I think of this fact constantly, and I want to know if it's just me. So we have a Clone Wars episode released on Netflix in 2014, probably fully developed in 2013, right?
What a wild sentence. Let's just take a second to reflect on that. That's a wild ass sentence.
No, I'm about to make it even crazier.
Okay, let's hear.
That features 5 aspects of a person divided into emotion: joy, anger, serenity, sadness, and fear.
Sounds like the hit movie.
2 years later, 2 years later, we get another a Disney animated film of a personality split into 5 emotions, several of which are the exact same as the TCW episode.
Yep.
Sorry.
Like 2 years.
Disgust.
You're totally fine. What the hell is that? That's like the craziest coincidence maybe in the history of ever.
But also, let's look at
that Hollywood groupthink.
Think about the core experience of a human being. If you look at your most primal emotion, they're all that. They're all of that.
I will say that shout outs to Star Wars, because I think I will say that that's what it is. It's 4 out of the 5 are the same.
Yeah, 4 out of the 5.
Joy, fear, anger, sadness, and all in those exact terms. The only one that's different, and this says so much about everything, is that Inside Out has disgust.
Yep.
Because of course it does.
Right.
And Star Wars has serenity. And of course now we have to make the caveat with 2 that Inside Out now has what else? Anxiety.
I was gonna say, thank God that anxiety didn't show up that day to help train Yoda or something, because we might have, the galaxy would have ended right then and there.
So funny enough, disgust and confusion in its own right are similar.
One of them was confusion, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's confusion.
Yeah.
So
God, I forgot there were 6 of them. I thought there were,
because confusion had the.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There are 6
all
of
these
them.
emoji
it's the 4
faces.
of Inside Out plus serenity.
So Look,
plus confusion. Yeah.
I'll
There's a bit of
read
an
this
emoji movie
line.
in there too, if you think about it.
Dave said this in an interview. It was for the behind the scenes of that episode. I said Dave Filoni once stated that the Force Priestess may be one being who became 5 over a long period of time, saying that the way I reconciled that being is actually one being. It's one ancient being separated over a time that for our perception is only we're able to see her. She has many different iconic things presented to us, but she died a long time ago.
Ironically, I kind of theory crafted that in my own notes. Like basically that exact idea, and that doesn't surprise me. Like that it is one person who was like one of the first Force ghosts, maybe one of the first people to pass on into the Force.
I was thinking that too. Is like the only person to truly do it after would be, if we look at it timeline wise, wouldn't it be Qui-Gon? So it was. I know Yoda learned it, but Qui-Gon was
that
the
we
first.
know. Yeah.
I think Qui-Gon is the first canonical Force ghost. If you look at it,
heaven forbid that they put someone else thousands of years earlier who does it, and then have people go, "Hey, where are they?"
Well, watch out, because I know a certain Jim Mangold might have something to say about that.
And look, the Acolyte's the first show that's been officially "quote unquote" canceled. Like, the reason I'm saying that is because I think what James Mangold has done well too, and what he's probably going to do really well, is honor and acknowledge all that came before. You know, which he did with Indiana Jones. Like the fact that we got a reference with Mutt in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is, Dial of Destiny was like, shows that he acknowledges, like, if he's going to do the Force in the first place, he's going to have to bring up midichlorians. It'll have to happen. It'll have to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also don't think that the Acolyte didn't acknowledge any of it. Like it
didn't get a chance to really prove anything wrong.
They also didn't get a chance. Yeah. Although honestly, I will say, not that I'm advocating for it not for being discontinued, because Lord knows I'm not.
Yeah.
But slightly teasing a different aspect of the Force and then not getting to explore it fully is maybe the most Star Wars things I have ever heard. So that's very fitting.
That's true.
It's Bad Batch and the cloning. Like they gave us just enough to like understand what's going on, but they didn't ever actually spell it out. Which was actually, we'll get to this in our next season of In a Galaxy. Is going to be season 3 of the Bad Batch.
There you go.
They gave you just enough in Bad Batch to look insane to your family members who don't like Star Wars. They gave you just enough to look like a conspiracy theorist.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, and that means all of us.
This is about Palpatine.
Look like a conspiracy theorist, as opposed to Jared, who always looks like a conspiracy theorist.
No. Jared's hobby is conspiracy theory. It's his best hobby.
Anything else that both of you want to say about Destiny before we go on to our final mini clip from The Mandalorian?
The only thing I will say is that this entire arc is just excellent, and
it's fantastic.
It answers so many questions that people have had for years. And I don't know. I just think it's really important to understand how this is something that George directly had control over. That's the one thing I will say. It's the last evidence that George was heavily involved. And I know Dave had questions, and he was in that writer's room. And there's very few things I would love to come out. And that would be like a footage of that day to discuss stuff. I'm sure they have it.
You think that's coming out someday? Like when George, on God forbid, when he passes from this realm and becomes one with the Force, do you think we'll get
I think
big,
like if we're ever going to get it, I was going to say, I think if we're ever going to get it, I think it will be when George is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Although who knows, honestly, because George is, for a filmmaker, now that we know, always an incredibly open book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you did the watch along of the beginning a few months ago, and which was the first time I'd actually seen that all the way through. And man, that movie, like, they went through some shit with that movie. That movie was that movie was. I'm trying to say, Rick, can you help me? Oh yeah, I heard Rick say, "Not unfuckably."
We're representing both sides today on our shirts.
Go to the Bombadcast if you want to see a complete analysis of the phrase "not unfuckably doable."
Yeah,
it's not
10 minutes of it.
Yeah. So let's get to the convert, which crazy stuff, just because this is the second episode of The Mandalorian ever to appear on In a Galaxy before it makes its official debut in December of 2034 or something like that, probably.
Right.
That's probably how long it's going to be before we get to The Mandalorian. But I will just say, the only thing off topic for this episode I will mention is just the absolute, and all credit to Lee Isaac Chung for this, the absolute whiplash of the Empire just destroyed Bo-Katan's home on Kalevala to, hey, you want to see Dr. Pershing talk about midichlorians?
Yeah,
The absolute whiplash of that.
Watch him eat a glowing popsicle as he touches the top of this mountain.
Is extremely funny. It's just, it's not meant to be, but it's so funny.
It is funny.
It's very funny.
I'll tell you what I love about that episode is the fact that those glowing popsicles like are clearly just like plastic glowing props, and to watch them put them in their mouths it's akin to watching someone like on like a cam girl or something like.
Wait, I think I just figured something out.
It's just weird.
Crap.
It just looks weird.
Gerry,
it just looks odd. It just looks. They're just like.
I don't know why I just came up with this. I just realized something. Those popsicles were just like glowing white, right?
Yeah.
They didn't seem to have any sort of flavor to them.
Mm-mm.
No, actually, what it is, it numbs the body. It's like radioactive, and it keeps you.
Oh, I was so worried you were going to steal my joke again. Thank God. All right.
Okay,
my joke
what's your joke?
No, my joke is this, which is, if people really wanted to know when they actually didn't ruin canon, they just had to look for the Mandalorian, because clearly all those tasteless popsicles they were having, they were just celebrating Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday.
Oh my God.
That's it. They were celebrating Ki-Adi-Mundi's. We know his favorite flavor of snow cone is ice flavored snow cone.
Yeah.
Plain.
Yeah, I love ice flavor,
which is the most Ki-Adi-Mundi thing to ever exist.
That is something that a psychopath thinks. I just want to go ahead and put that out there. That is the thought of a serial killer. Ice flavor.
It is, but
Mundi's
we have
last
Pershing talking about, and I'm interested to see, Scotty, if you agree with me on this. What I feel like is a bastardization of the Force a little bit. Like, people doing things and tampering with things that I don't think, as Pershing said, like, he was a pen pusher. Quite literally, that's his literal name.
Yeah.
I don't think he joined like the Empire with any evil intent. He says as much there, and I don't think he was lying. But I just feel like the Force is not one of those things that should be messed with.
Yeah.
Maybe except for if by a Force user, but even then, it feels a little messy. It feels like trying to use a cheat code with the Force.
The Kaminoans figured it out, and then they had to get Pershing to complete part of the story, or I guess complete part of the puzzle. Then especially when we get to Gideon at the end of this season, like apparently he did solve it, which I don't think is necessarily the case. Palpatine couldn't even solve it 30 years later.
I do not think Gideon solved it. Gideon's whole plan was to extract the Force from Grogu himself.
But he
There's
said
no evidence he did that.
They said it tested well. I don't think it's ever going to actually happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing with Pershing that most people often overlook is that he is a character with the motivation that his mother had died and that he was looking to clone and help her. What did she die from? What was the exact line? I forget.
It
Bad
was like
heart or something?
I think it was heart failure, I think. And
yeah.
And the idea was,
She just needed if organ cloning had been available.
If they could have made a synthetic organ, she would have lived. Which I totally forgot about from that episode. Which is a nice bit of lore building for that character, I will say.
I agree. I will say too, to that moment, they're in the opera house where the whole midichlorian discussion happened in the first place in Revenge of the Sith. So there's a cool pseudo parallel there. I don't know. It may have been pretty intentional. I'm not quite sure. Or I thought that was it's a good location. Which is
I'm sure because Dave was there, it was intentional only because we have that shot before you see the inside of the Opera House, you see
Yeah.
the shot of the outside of the Opera
Mhm.
House and
Same.
Elia Kane scaling
Yeah.
the steps, just like Anakin does.
That's true.
Very similar angle. I'd be shocked if that wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
He probably was sitting there talking to John. He was like, really fuck with these nerds as if we just put it in there where Palpatine did this speech because they love that speech. Oh,
That's really good, Jerry. I'm like
That's
really
very
impressed.
good.
I've never
That's
heard you do that
actually
one
very
before.
good, Dave.
thanks, y'all. Thank y'all. Hey, check out my band. We just put out a new record. It's great. We got lots of horns, lots of brass.
We got wolves in this one. And
Oh yeah,
I'm sure huge surprise to everyone.
I just told George, why don't we just push him off the top of the building?
Dude, this is really good.
Push him
Paul
into a
Stanley and Dave Filoni should do a show together.
Yes, seriously.
All right.
But yeah,
I'll pin it in.
But
Interesting. Interesting. Wow.
yeah.
I really like that. Interesting.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
the idea, just to get back for 1 second, the idea of like this tampering with the Force being just weird. Like,
right.
The main thing I have with that is one canon example and one Legends example, but I still think is true in canon. We just haven't gotten the full explanation for it, which is the Anasaia twins and Anakin's creation in Legends. We don't know what kind of fuckery was used to create the Anasaia twins in canon, but it doesn't seem to have gone as planned.
No, and that's the thing. You can clearly see in the Anasaia twins that there is, this sounds mean, but they're both have tendencies to lean towards the dark. Where Anakin was born of the light, then falls to the dark. It just proves that when you try to fuck with this stuff, that it's never going to go the way you think.
And Anasaia, I'm pretty sure it said in one of the episodes, she was trying to create one. And it got split into two. And and Plagueis, the explanation in the Darth Plagueis novel in Legends is that Plagueis was trying to do some fuckery with the balance of the Force and investigating the midichlorians.
Yeah.
And the Force is, I don't like that, and created a being of pure light.
Yeah, exactly.
And it struck back. So even if they had gotten that far, which I don't think they would have, and unlike that's another example, is actually Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine decided to use some fuckery with the Force to extend his life, and then what does the Force do? It turns his own granddaughter against him.
But also, let's take a second and really reflect on when you look at Palpatine as a character. He was that was the end goal, was to always remain living in forever. And even in the comics, we see that was always his ultimate goal, was to have sort of and for an essence transfer is a strictly Sith idea of never really dying. And I don't know, there's a
and taking autonomy away from another person too, because he's trying to throw himself into others' bodies.
Yes,
and he does.
And he did. You're right. He does. And I think too, like you've got to see it from the Jedi perspective that when you die, you assimilate to the Force. But if you know how, you can call yourself back, so you're never truly dead. Just literally, no one's ever truly gone. That is a great line because it's true. It's true in multiple ways.
And in the Jedi, they let their body go, because that's something that you always see with the Jedi. They become one with the Force, their body disappears, which maybe it helps because the midichlorians go with them. That's part of what helps them be able to remanifest.
But also, like, even the idea of like the Jedi burial, or you've got Vader, you've got Soul now, which is more of a Viking burial, which is so fucking cool. And then we've also got Qui-Gon. Like, they quite literally burn the bodies, and their bodies rise into the sky, and like your elements that make you up all become ash. And there's some really beautiful things there.
Reminds me, I need to pick up a copy of, because a mutual friend of ours, Alden Diaz, told me about this in The Princess and the Scoundrel, which I need to read. Which is, there's a scene at the very beginning. Leia is wandering the forest of Endor, and she sees a burning body in the distance, and she's like, "Luke, why did you burn the body of Darth Vader? Why did you give our evil father this much respect?" And Luke's like, "I can explain." And Leia's like, "Don't. He's evil. Nothing can ever change that for me. He was evil." Like, it is literally like the next day after
I think I remember that is the best scene in that book. Like, just that I believe she actually makes it up to the pyre and crushes something, or grabs some of the ashes, just like is angry about just his existence.
But
not what you want to hear as a father.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, that bad father saves from from Vader all around. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this up with our final in a galaxy question that I always ask to our new guests?
I guess one thing I could say is that if you're still on the surface level understanding of midichlorians, you want to go a bit further, watch the video essay that I made. It's going to be in the link in the description, and I always promote it. I think another thing too is that I hope in some capacity we can make this conversation go deeper one day, in the sense of there's more material we can work with and things we can enjoy and talk about in further detail. And they've started to expand it. Hopefully they watch my essay and they expand it more, or maybe find some way to validate some of the things that people have heard for years, or even invalidate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that this is something that's like a subject that's being like cracked wide open now.
Yeah.
My cowboy hat is made of midichlorians, actually. A little very few people know that. Interesting.
I'm so impressed.
Okay, you need to make Dave a character on.
All right. Okay.
Interesting. There's that great clip.
I'm gonna fuck with Ashley real quick. Hold on.
There's that great clip of Ash Crossan interviewing Dave on some junket, and this was like for season 1, and she was like, "Do you think we'll ever get to see a mythosaur in The Mandalorian?" And Dave's looking off in the distance, clearly remembering their plans for season 3, and being like, "Never say never." It's fantastic.
Well,
he went to the George Lucas school of not giving 0 Fs. That's where he went to. Yeah.
It's fantastic. But we got to get to the In a Galaxy question that we ask all of our guests. Infamously, we have one of those pronunciation questions. How do you pronounce this character's name? And unfortunately, there is a right answer for this one. I'm going to show you this character. You'll just tell me how you say your name.
Okay. Florgan McSmorgenborg. I'm just kidding. That's good old Zam Wessel. That is how I say her name.
Oh, I thought it was Sam Wazell. That's what I thought.
Sam Wazell, yeah. No,
like
Zam Wazell.
You know this joke, Scotty.
Handbags on Corellia.
So you know this. Wait, or do you know this joke? The joke is that in the video game that Zam was introduced in, Star Wars Bounty Hunter,
of course,
she pronounces her name as Zam Wazell. And good friend Devore of this show was like, "Oh, I always thought it was pronounced Wazell." And I looked at the word and I was like, "Who pronounces it Wazell?" And so Jacob and I have had a mission of proving him wrong. Every guest on the show, except now you and Lauren Romo, has said Wessel. But every other one, the point is beaten into the ground. The point is beaten into the ground by this point. We had Alex and Molly say Wessel. We had other people we got on the show say Wessel. It's become not funny anymore.
I believe that Zam Wazell designs fur coats on Trandosha.
How I rationalize it is very simple. You just look at Frozen. That's how you do it.
Okay.
The guy who questions Elsa's abilities from the Foreign Kingdom. You remember, Gerry? He's not the Duke of Wesselton.
The Duke of Wesselton.
So I've actually done it like a supercut
Duke of Weaseltown.
Introducing her. I've actually done a supercut of Zam introducing herself, and it's, "Hi, I'm Zam Wazell," and that's slower. "Hi, I'm Zam Wazell," and then I bass boosted Alan Tudyk saying Wesselton, but just cut out the 10 at the end. So it's, "I am Zam Wazell.
That's a great question.
Now I just all I'm seeing is Bob or Django introducing her to someone at the bar, going, "This is Zam Weaseltown."
That's fantastic.
All I hear now.
That's a really good question to end with. I being from Louisiana, if I was trying to Frenchify it, I would say Wazell, regardless if it was spelled or pronounced Wessel. I think
that's the Cajuinification.
You kind of have to down here.
Yeah,
it's like
Miss Wazell.
There's a in Louisiana. Here's a good example. It's spelled Marchand, Marchand, but it's pronounced Marchand. That's how it is. So used to in my culture.
Zam Wazell is going to be in the next Knives Out. I hear, actually, as a character in the next Knives Out. Miss Wazell.
Is that going to be Glenn Close? Right, that's Glenn Close's character. Right? Glenn Close is going to be
Miss Wazell. Yes,
that was Wazell. I do have a question for you all this evening. I'm Benoit Blanc. Anyway, I did lie. I have one more question for both of you, and that is, of course, where can we find all the stuff that you guys do?
Jerry?
You can find us on wherever you find the YouTube app on your phone or device, whatever you watch YouTube on. And yeah, we're there every Thursday night. Just look up the Bombadcast and you will find us. We're like the one lone search result. So we lucked out getting a name that is very unique. Guys, check us out there. You can check out my stuff. You follow the show at Bombadcast on Twitter and every other platform, and follow me at the Canon Junkie. And Scotty, they can follow you at the Scott Jayro as well.
StayBombad.com if you want to get all there, the details there. Another important thing too is if you like reaction videos, that is what we're known for in a weird way. If you just look up Star Wars reaction videos, it probably is the second or third thing, maybe even the first thing that pops up. So it's me crying.
Yeah, we've all seen The Rise of Skywalker. It's fantastic. I will just promote this for Gerry because I just saw this while we were recording. This was announced, and I've been waiting for this for so long. I'm a huge fan of this show. I want to talk very briefly about Ionized Bastards.
Oh yeah,
Gerry plays the droid 4044, which by the time of this episode, releasing a few days ago, will have had a special live stream go on with Gerry, along with good friends of the show, Alden Diaz, Michael McCoy, Jared Bachman Stubbs,
Scotty as well.
I'm gonna be co-hosting
this live stream.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. And Scotty, Jayro, and of course Dan Miller.
Yes,
the first 2 seasons of Ionized Bastards, and how, as Michael, these are Michael's words. I'm adapting Michael's words. How you guys accidentally created a fantastic Star Wars story. How you guys accidentally created R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy in Star Wars.
Yes. Which sounds like maybe it might be mid, but is like actually really cool. And so you guys should really check it out.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Michael had a bit of a saying. I will say this. You may think you know what's coming, but you'll never really know what hit you.
Damn that song.
It's haunting to me. It's haunting to me now because I heard it like 9 times. I think it was 9 episodes, 9 times a day. And every time I'm like, every time I had a new understanding of what that meant.
Not cool.
Oh yes,
Michael, you son of a bitch.
Michael's the best. Michael's the best.
Swagman, make Michael McCoy a Star Wars author officially. Let's do it, Swagman. Come on, we know you got more than tissues in that box. Let's go.
Yes, and I will say also,
you truly have.
I gotta say, every time I see an evil robot in Star Wars now, my automatic response is, "Oh, salvage!"
Instantly.
Salvage. Yes, the most terrifying, like the Freddy Krueger or Jason of.
There's actually one that appears in Young Jedi Adventures that's voiced by Corey Burton of all people, called I want to say he's like Captain Blackheart or something like that. That's not it, but it's like a droid pirate, and instantly I was like, if that voice that comes out of it is Irish, I'm going to throw something.
I'm gonna jump out this window.
I'm going to. I like if Kai lights up his lightsaber and we hear, "I didn't expect a Jedi youngling to come this far." I will lose my shit.
Just run. But no, Eli, thank you for having us on. We're gonna get some trivia stuff soon as well.
Absolutely.
Eli and I need to talk at some point to figure out our little thing we want to do. But also, other than that, another thing with the Bombadcast is we have a little catchphrase that we always use, of course a song at the end of it, and that catchphrase is "Stay Bombad." So if you want to stay Bombad, hop on over to the channel and be that man in the mirror. Make it a change.
Yes, yes. Come over there and be a pizza party time player. Come on.
Absolutely. That is going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Next week, Jacob and I return. Jacob returns to the show. We're going to do a special episode of some. We're still trying to figure out the special episode, what we're doing. And then we're going to get right into season 19 of Star Wars in the Galaxy, The Bad Batch, season 3. We already have some guests scheduled. I can confirm this first one for not the first episode, but the second episode covering the 4th and 5th episode of season 3 of The Bad Batch. we will have Brennan Marr from Page Turners Were They Not, and
The
also
best.
a Consultation Player as our guest for, and I'm working on some other ones for this season. We're so excited to get back into it. We're gonna do Bad Batch. We're gonna do Andor.
Sorry.
It's okay, buddy. It's all right.
No, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
What if I put that Zeb 3D model in there? Would that be okay for you? You think you'd like that?
And then, no, ironically enough, the thing right after
Interesting.
that, I've been delaying it for Jacob long enough. We are going to start our trudge, our 4-season trudge into Star Wars Rebels.
There it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
It's a hell of a season.
so-
Look forward to it. Season 3 in a galaxy.
Yeah, it's gonna be. So it's literally Bad Batch season 3 and/or,
Cool.
and then I want to do season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4. No breaks in there,
Cool.
like we did for the Clone Wars, which took us like 2 years. But anyway, yeah, Epic Confrontations is currently on a tiny bit of a hiatus, but our next match, Sheev Shills, featuring this guy right below me, Gerry the Gan Junkie, and his teammate Andy, against Bangers and Smash. Nikki Kumar and Charlie Ashby will be out very soon. You have that.
They won't know what in it, will they?
They won't. And so that'll be hitting very soon. Until then, you can listen to us on all platforms. You can listen to us on all platforms. You can follow me at OGFan327 on all platforms. You can follow us at In a Galaxy Pod. You can, and make sure to follow us on all the platforms. In a Galaxy Trivia for Epic Confrontations. And I think if that's it, there's all else upstairs. May the Force be with you always.